Gunnar, for years you've been pushing to have these 28 pages of the 9/11 report that are still classified being made available to the American public. What is behind your latest efforts to do so?
First, there's the issue of the truth. The American people deserve the right to know what the government did in their name. Second, justice. There are 6,000 Americans, husbands, wives, sons and daughters of those who were killed on 9/11, who have been trying to seek justice through the federal court system, suing Saudi Arabia and various affiliates and entities of being a co-conspirator in 9/11. They have not been successful in part because they can't get access to the information that will make their case. Releasing the 28 pages and other documents would help bring justice. And finally, I think that the Saudis have gotten the message that given what they know they did in 9/11, that the United States' failure to react is essentially a form of impunity, that we can do anything we want to and the Americans won't sanction us in any way. That has encouraged them to continue to support these extreme entities, the madrasas, which teach intolerance and hatred, the imams in mosque who preach to the adults that they should involve themselves in jihad, and organizations like ISIS and Al-Qaeda.
Now, another reason for some renewed interest in all this is this letter from Moussaoui, the Al-Qaeda operative, and he is claiming that the royal family backed not only Al-Qaeda, but specifically the 9/11 hijackers. Why should anybody believe him?
Well, he certainly comes under a cloud given the fact that he is now a convicted felon serving in the Supermax prison in Colorado and has been a questionable figure for a long time. I don't think you should just accept what he says, but I do think that the claims that he's made should be fully investigated to see is there any evidence or truth to the statements that he's made about the close financial relationship between Saudi Arabia and Al-Qaeda at the time that 9/11 was being financed.
And you believe him, what he wrote in that letter?
I believe that the Saudis have been at the core of the network that supported the 19 hijackers. To me, it is highly implausible to believe that 19 people, most of whom couldn't speak English, most of whom had never been in the United States before, could have carried out such a complicated plot without some external assistance.
Now, you also say the FBI is engaging in, quote, aggressive deception about this issue. Can you tell us specifically what that aggressive deception looks like?
Well, let me give you a specific example. There's a situation that has emerged in the last 3 or 4 years from Sarasota where there are allegations that a prominent Saudi family with close ties to the kingdom had been cavorting with 2 of the hijackers who were doing their flight training near Sarasota. The FBI did an investigation along with state and local law enforcement of that family after 9/11, and they wrote a report. The FBI has publicly told the American people that that report represented a full and complete investigation, that it represented that it concluded that there were no connections between the family and the future hijackers, and that all the material was made available to the 9/11 Commission and the congressional inquiry. The fact is, none of those 3 statements are true, and yet the disproof of those is in documents that the FBI controls and refuses to make available to the American people.
And we're talking about things like surveillance footage, which would show these hijackers going to this house of this family in Sarasota.
There was a system by which cars that entered this gated community, all their license plates were taken, the photographs were retained, and when those photographs were matched with the automobiles that the hijackers were using, it proved that they had been visiting in that subdivision, and the primary purpose of their visit was the Saudi family.
And this Saudi family, they were living in Sarasota. Where are they now?
Saudi Arabia.
They're back there.
They lived in a home in Sarasota for approximately 6 years, and then less than 2 weeks before 9/11, they suddenly left, and they left under what law enforcement described as urgent conditions.
Very suspicious circumstances.
It raises the inference, did these people know that 9/11 was about to happen, and that it would be better for a prominent Saudi not to be in the United States when it occurred?